Everyone, I'm going to continue a fantastic series of Daf Yomi here at the Jerusalem Aquarium here in Israel. What's very interesting, we're on page 68 of Masechet Avodah Zara, and our Gemara on Amud Bet is going to discuss the topic of Ta'am Lifgam. Let's say a non-kosher food is going to impart a foul taste inside a mixture. Now the Baruch Shama Haggadah is the liturgy, applies this to the liturgy of Dayenu, the famous prayer. For Dayenu to make sense, each kindness from God, let's just say in the poem, must be valuable on its own. So for example, in the poem itself, it must be valuable on its own. So if God gave us French fries, for example, it would be enough. But he also provides us with ketchup, let's say, hypothetically. Yeah, makes sense, yeah? The reverse doesn't though. If God gave us, say, ketchup, and we would be happy if we didn't get the French fries, for example, because ketchup alone is on its own is no gift specifically. Now, so how can Dayenu say, had he provided for our needs in desert for 40 years without feeding us manna, heavenly bread, it would have been enough if we had no food. How would our needs be met over here? Now the Baruch Shema Haggadah once again explains the manna's extra quality was that it could taste like anything you wanted. As Masechet Yoma on page 75 says that even if God had given us plain unexciting food enough to survive over here, that would have sufficed. The manna was a luxurious bonus over here, you could say. He also adds that if the manna could taste like anything, why did people crave meat, as we learn about in Sefer Bamidbar in chapter 11 in Parshat Balotcha? Because its default flavor was like wafers in honey. That's what we learn in chapter 16 of Parshat in Sefer Shemot. And honey mixed with meat can provide potentially a foul taste, as we learn about in the Code of Jewish law. That is why honey boiled in a Gentile pot, as we know, might still be considered permitted over here because of the foul taste it will give out over here, which is very interesting enough. If the meat flavor from, let's say, the wolves and the honey, it would not add a pleasant flavor. Thus, manna could, let's say, mimic the meat flavor in a satisfactory way. Now, what's interesting, this also, let's say, over here, this concept resolves the seemingly contradiction. If the Torah states that the heavenly bread tastes like honey dipped and wafer, how does that align with the tradition that the heavenly bread could taste like anything? Now, based on the Baruch Shema Haggadah once again, the conceptualization, we can say that the substance of the manna tasted like honeyed wafers. Over here, it would taste like that specifically, while other flavors were overlaid as aroma and nuance. This is just like the pot of the honey that absorbed the meat flavor from the walls of the pot, which had a foul taste. So to the flavor that people wished onto the manna were not substance, but rather the aroma and additional flavor. And that's exactly why a flavor of meat would clash with the manna's inherent honey basis in itself. I heard this from a Rabbi Simcha Furman. Wishing you all a fantastic day and enjoy.